Welcome back to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. I'm Calvin. Thank y'all so much for stopping by again today. The Filipino script, a blueprint of your relationship here in the Philippines. I want to talk a little bit about that today. Shout out to Robert Dane, Harry Shoulders, my buddy in Tucson, Arizona. He said, Cal, you gave us the script. He said, but there's a lot of new guys on your channel. Why don't you go over the script again? I will. And I'll add a few things to take away a few things. I know because a lot of guys are excited. You know, you're going to make your first trip to the Philippines. So I'm going to take out my crystal ball and tell you exactly what's going to happen. And if you're honest, every guy that's ever been over here, to meet a woman, certainly, has that same experience. Because at first I thought it was just me. You know, I'm an insurance agent and I'm taught to pick up on certain things. Well, about the third or fourth time I came over here, I was like, wow, it's all the same. But it really starts even before you get on the plane. It starts when you begin chatting with the woman. There's even a script to the questions that she asks. Okay? You have to be real careful the information that you provide, because this is where the scammers get us. They start asking personal questions. Are you divorced? Are you widowed? Are you single? Do you have kids? Do you talk to them a lot? What did you do for a living? Which is basically is asking you to start getting into your monetary situation. And we don't think anything of it. Okay, we just share this information freely, but you have to be careful. But that's where it starts. So then you decided, okay, I'm coming. Because that's another question. Do you plan on coming to my country anytime soon? You say, yeah, I'm coming, and you give it a date, and here's when the script starts. I mean, from the very first time I came here in 2009 to the last time when I met Marilyn, always the same, guys, okay? So she's going to meet you at the airport. And I didn't think no more about it. You know, she meets you at the airport. You go back to the hotel. You have the best 2 weeks of your life. When you leave, your boyfriend and girlfriend or, you know, fiance, of course, and then she expects you to start supporting her. Now, that's part of the script. So you go back and, you know, it's usually, she's going to try you. It's usually going to be an emergency first. Oh, my school tuition. Somebody died. But either way, the script is in motion, ladies and gentlemen. You meet online. She meets you at the airport. You go to the hotel. You have the best 2 weeks of your life. You go back home as a girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance, and then you start supporting her until you see her again. It happens that way for everybody. I knew I was on to something when I met my son's mother. She's at the airport, except she wasn't by herself. She had her two friends. Okay, big deal. She's still at the airport. We go back to the hotel. We have the best 2 weeks of my life. So then, you know, I'm like, well, what's that all about? She said, well, my friend told me to do anything you asked me to do. She gave her instructions, because that's all a script is. It's dialogue, you know, the performance, you know, the instructions, you know, everything. It guides the ladies. Every single one of you who are watching this, who's ever flown to the Philippines to meet a woman, you know good and damn well that it came out that way. It doesn't matter, well, the relationship didn't work out. It doesn't matter how long you stayed. You might have just came here and stayed forever. It's a script, guys, and we've got to try to somehow break that script if you really want to get to know who you're dealing with. Because I don't care how many times, you can come 100 times and meet 100 women. It's always going to be the same. Okay, so what can you do to, you know, to break the script, you know, to make her start acting, you know, normal, basically. Okay. One thing you can do is, you know, don't meet her at the airport. Don't have her meet you at the airport. Okay? Let things cool down for a little while, for a couple of days before you meet her. You know, meet her in somewhere public. You got to take her off script. There's no chance for us. This is how a lot of guys end up getting scammed. You know, there's even a description of the type of guy who usually gets scammed over here. I look this stuff up, man. I don't be just on here making stuff up, man. He's usually a man. I'm talking about in the Philippines, because globally, it's women who are more likely to fall victim to a romance or a love scam than men. But he's usually between 40 and 70 years old. Okay? And he's more vulnerable because he's lonely. But we'll talk about that in a minute. And then he's got expendable income or savings, because broke men don't get scammed. Broke men don't lose their life savings because they don't have life savings to lose. But here's the number one reason. If they have a strong desire for companionship or relationship, man, they pick up on that. And you're vulnerable, man. You become a victim. You start trusting people that you don't know. See, because this is one skill, I want to call it a skill. One thing about Filipinos I really like, they don't meet strangers, man. You know, because guys always ask me, hey, Cal, and this was, if you don't believe me, look on my last live stream. The guy says, what if she starts talking about she loves you within a week? Then she's trying to build a connection, man. She's trying to win your trust. That's why they do that. Okay, and she gets you to trust in her. So, you know, you even start sending money before you get here. But I can usually tell you the typical guy who gets scammed over here. Everybody doesn't get scammed. But the people who get scammed, they got a lot of characteristics that are the same, man. They look alike. Okay, but that's generally what it is. And it all starts there with those questions they're asking you. How often do you see your family? You know, they want to know, is he lonely? What do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a retired engineer. Oh, yeah, you know, then we start trying to impress them. I was the police chief. Yeah, you know, I retired with a big pension, you know, because we tell these women this stuff. You're getting off on the wrong track. A guy had, you know, he consulted me, you know, not a consultation, but he was just talking to me and he said, hey, Cal, you know, I told the woman that I had 200,000 and I was getting, I think he said $3,000 a month. She said it wasn't enough. You don't need to be telling no woman that, man. Okay, guard that information, man, like it's gold, because it is. You're opening up yourself to a scam, to a potential scam. You know, and here's the thing, though. I got some good news for you, though. You're more likely to lose your life savings at home rather than in the Philippines. Certainly if you're in America. Okay, 2 out of 3 of Americans admit to being victim of some type of financial fraud in their lifetime. 1 out of 3 in the last year. In the Philippines, it's like 52%, about half the people. Okay, so that's the good news. You know, a lot of you guys, you're going to lose your money and get scammed anyway, whether you come here or not. Okay, but you have a least likely chance of getting scammed over here because we can see through a lot of their scams. We can see through a lot of their little schemes. If you're not blinded by, you know what I'm saying, loneliness and isolation. But that script is real, man. And I promise you, if you're watching this, put in the comments, if this didn't happen. You meet her online, she starts probing, asking these personal questions. You become girlfriend and boyfriend. Oh, she asked you, go ahead. I'm serious. Delete your account on Christian Filipina. Okay, meanwhile, and you do it like a dummy because meanwhile, she has 4 dating profiles because it doesn't cost her anything. It costs you a fortune to have a profile on these dating sites. So Even while you're chatting, she's and you know on WhatsApp, y'all might have taken it off camera. She's still on those other 4 sites, and there's no way you'll ever know. Okay? Because you can't access these other sites unless you pay. And it begins right there. Okay, you make your date, you tell I'm coming. You tell her exactly the date you coming. Another mistake. You tell her, you take her back to your Airbnb or your hotel. Another mistake. Because you really don't know who you're meeting over here. But it's a script, guys. And they got to keep you on the script. Otherwise, they ain't going to know how to act, man. They've never been exposed to foreigners before. So she has to stay tightly in the script, man. She has to play that role. If you do anything to mess that script up, man, it's in your favor. Okay? You have the best 2 weeks of your life. Certainly the first night. And you're like, well, what's all that about? Well, my friend told me that, if they honest. This is do whatever you ask me to do. You know, we try and get you to fall in love, to trust us. You go home, man, and you know, your nose is wide open. You got a 20-year-old woman, you're 63. And it's love now. And so you feel obligated because you already went to the province. You see how they live and everything like that. You feel obligated to start taking care of her. And you do that all the way till you see her again. But let me warn you before I get off of here. First relationship never works anyway. So be careful how much money you spend. Be careful how much time and effort you put into the relationship because it's not going to work. So then all that money, time, and effort you've wasted. So thank y'all so much for stopping by. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody that celebrates that. Shout out to you again, Robert Dame. You know, I just wanted to talk about it again today. Maybe I can help somebody, but more than likely I'm not. Because everybody's the exception. But you're a damn lie if you're sitting on here and it didn't work out that way for you. Okay? And just because one of you did doesn't mean the other 999,999 of us didn't go through that script. And they play that. Remember, I've been coming over 16 years, almost 17. It's happening today. Somebody's getting off the plane. The woman's there at the airport. And the script plays out. Okay? So if you're in America, if you're in the Philippines, wherever you are, find your heart to help somebody. Now, a day goes by, I don't help somebody. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. When we help other people, we help ourselves. Take care, stay safe, stay out of trouble. I'll see you next time. Don't do anything stupid. Keep that information close to your chest. We're telling women too much of our information. They're not going to tell you anything. Okay? And a lot of it's lies a lot of times. They'll tell you, I'm not married, I don't have any kids. But she wants to know, are you lonely? How much money you got? When you coming? Where you staying? Can I meet you at the airport? It's all scripted, guys. And if you don't believe it, ask your homeboy who's been over here before. Because at first I thought it was just me. Then I started talking to people. I was like, well, hell, it's everybody. So I just called it the script. Today I called it the Filipino script. A blueprint of your relationship, how it got started. And then it even goes further. Once you fall in love, you either sell everything and move over here, or you bring her there. Because don't get this twisted. And I'll argue with anybody about this. Their number one goal to be on that website is a visa and a new life. It's not always money. They want to get out of here. Given a chance, ladies and gentlemen, those young women on those dating sites, they want to leave. Given a chance, they're going to leave because there's not a whole lot here for them. Most of the women here, they want to work. They want to pay their own way. They really don't want you taking care of them 24/7. If you got a woman like that who's okay with that, that's a red flag. Okay? These women want to work. They want to take care of their families. There's a lot of pride going on over here. But if you got a woman who doesn't mind laying up under you 24/7, doesn't want to work, it's okay with you, giving her all the money and waiting for you to give her money, man, you're gonna ruin her anyway. Yeah, you're gonna ruin her anyway, guys. Just always remember that, okay?
Boots on the ground, don't do nothing stupid. Give that man his flowers, a tribute through music. If I don't know nothing, I know one thing.